What's going on, guys, and welcome to January's episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
And quick reminders, it's my birthday today, so wish me happy birthday in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. I love all of you. And also, we're moving into a new month, so make sure to download and play Sims 4 and BioShock Collection. What do we think about these?
I don't have time.
These are two massive games.
Yeah, fortunately, at least Sims is a choose your own adventure type of deal.
Yeah,
so
but you could sit there and play that game for fucking years.
Sure, but I can
do.
also shut it off when I want to and not be like, I didn't beat it. I can't have an opinion. So
yeah,
I can just play until I'm like, I got it. Versus BioShock, I think it's kind of, you have to play at least a decent chunk of it to be able to talk about it. So
yeah. Chris?
I'm excited for BioShock. I don't have the time for it, but I'm excited.
My opinion on BioShock is very nuanced, and I've talked about it a couple times on the channel, but I appreciate everything about BioShock outside of the gameplay.
I argued with a coworker.
Me too.
And you watched the show.
Well, no. We didn't argue. He just listened to me and then went, I like it. And I was like,
I got that too, but I also got, that's just your opinion.
Oh, he doesn't tell me that.
Because I told him combat in BioShock is boring.
Yeah, but I think even the older graphics are fantastic. The world is so fucking cool and immersive, and the stories are awesome. But yeah, the gameplay, even back then, was kind of boring. So it'd be cool to revisit it. Getting all three games is fucking gnarly. Mm-hmm. Those are full-ass games. We just had Uncharted. We're going to be talking about that in this episode.
Yeah, we already had 4 games this last month.
Yeah, and then Sims 4, like I said, that's just a lot of content. That's fucking just sandbox freedom. Do whatever the fuck you want. Watch people like a voyeur and torture them if you want. I mean, that's what The Sims is. It's just really kind of a fucking horrible game in the sense of just curiosity, morbid curiosity.
It's the human experiment.
I've done evil things in The Sims. Yeah, and BioShock. I'm actually really excited to come back to that. I've played and beat the first and third game. I've never played BioShock 2, so maybe I'll start with that one.
I beat the third game.
Yeah, which the story in that's fucking dope.
Oh yeah,
I beat it. And I was playing most time. I was like, oh, this is I'm giving my impressions of the game already. I was looking at it like, this is a fucking gorgeous game. This is beautiful. I love the imagination, but goddamn, these kill box rooms are kind of boring to me. And then I got to the end. I was like, no. And then I beat it. And I was like, that was good. So we'll talk about that next month.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say on these games? Excitement?
I like shooting bees at people.
That's a good thing to like. It's quite the talent.
I don't think I'll use the word excitement so much myself when it comes to BioShock. I am curious because I did not play the first 2 games.
They're so neat. I just don't like playing them. But everything about them I love. I wish the gameplay was a little more robust.
And then I skipped Sims 4, so this will be a good time to try it. So.
I never played Sims 4.
Yeah.
I was barely interested in 3. I played 1 and 2. And I played the shit out of 1 and 2. So it'll be kind of cool. Biggest thing for me, biggest curiosity is playing Sims on console. Because last time I played a Sims on console was for GameCube. Back when it wasn't the same game as the PC one, as its own version.
Yeah.
So I really want to see how it translates to console, which I'm sure will be fine. And I'm actually excited to come back to BioShock because it's been a long time. So I'm excited for you to check them out, even though the first 2 are kind of horror-esque.
Oh, I know. I tried playing the first one before.
Yeah. They're dark and dingy, and there's things crawling around.
On the walls and shit.
People popping out. That's right in the beginning. You come out and there's something up on the fucking ceiling. But yeah, at least there's that one jump scare, though, in the third one. Infinite? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, the fucking bird behind you.
You walk...
Or
no,
bird. But
no, you walk in the room, you press the button. As soon as you turn around, there's a person behind you.
Screams at you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hated it.
So anyway, we'll be playing those throughout February. Make sure to download those and play those as well. Let us know what we thought of them. We'll let you know we thought of them in our game of the month in February. It's Monster Hunter World. Make sure to buy that and play that if you haven't already. And if you have, I'm sure you're still playing it. We'll be talking about that at the end of February as well. And if you missed it, we talked about something yesterday. Vindictus. Make sure to go back, check that out as well. We talked about that. It was a really interesting conversation.
Also, we got some pretty good comments on that video too.
Yeah, I still got to go through some of them. But yeah, really good comments on there. And brand new community members, which is cool. Already commenting. Really appreciate that. Love 100%. The comments. Once we get a Tasty Cast going around here soon, I'll be doing the new comment segment. I might do that anyway this weekend because we're not doing Taste Cast this weekend. Might be talking.
And you're just trying to be busy.
I am. This week's fucking gnarly, but it's been worth it because we just got a shitload of new subscribers. That video's like our 7th most viewed video on the channel, which is crazy, and it's still going up. And I might be interviewing a fucking games journalist because of it. So it's been a weird week.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us in audio form through your nostrils, I guarantee you can hear something through that.
Probably. Vibrations are tricky that way.
Yeah, sound frequencies. They're interesting. January, we played Goat Simulator and Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection. I feel like we should probably start with Goat Simulator because, there's some things to say about it, I'm sure, but not a whole lot. So let's just jump in. I'll go into my impressions first. So kind of like with Vindictus, and I don't want to talk about it too much because you should go watch that episode, but I had a similar thing happen with me with Goat Simulator when returning to it. And I knew this was going to happen, though, going back to it. This game is very much of an era. It's not even like in its design old. It's just when it was coming out, it was kind of a joke. It was this novelty thing, like, oh, they're making Goat Simulator. And then you look at like the videos of it, and you're like, that looks like shit. But that was the point. And it was like cheaply made. They supported it, which is kind of interesting. But like the big novelty of buying it and playing it was just almost like how ridiculous that this even exists is. I bought it and played it back on PC when it first came out, and I got my fucking laughs out of it then. Coming back to it, it's the same thing that I experienced back then. I still kind of enjoy the novelty of it, but the big joke and event and the meme of it is over for me. So I was really just kind of playing a shit game that doesn't offer enough interesting things to really keep my interest. I didn't play this game very long this month. Just kind of checked in with the old goat. Looked at all the skins and stuff you can unlock in it. Some of the weird power-ups and shit. You can make the goat gigantic, and you can get the rocket pack and fly around, but that's not very satisfying because it's very cheaply done. And yeah, I just kind of ran around the town. I'm sure you've probably seen the footage up there. And put my tongue on people, as I do, in-game, in real life. And threw people in front of cars and jumped on mattresses and trampolines and looked at the graphics that were bad when they came out and even worse now. And the ridiculous ragdoll physics they have no structure to them, so they're just kind of everywhere and not quite satisfying. And yeah, I mean, overall, I just my gameplay of this, my playthrough of this time around was almost just to acknowledge that this game existed at a point in time, and it was bought mostly just because someone had the audacity to fucking go, we're gonna make a fucking game called Goat Simulator as a joke to all the farm simulator type games out there, and you're gonna play as a goat and do some weird shit. So yeah, all in all, I like I said, I don't know if I had a gooder time or bad time this month with this game. I just acknowledged that it existed. So that's my impressions of it.
I mean, like you, I played this when it came out, and I played it a lot. So
I played it before everybody.
So it was kind of challenging for me to come back and do, because it is very much so like an objective base game with like a splash of Tony Hawk, and it was just kind of a weird way to word that, but
Yeah, it is Tony Hawk for sure.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And it's fun enough, but like,
Did you have fun?
well, briefly. So
It's a real question.
yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Like when the game came out, like it was a blast, and it was funny as in just playing something like that because like it shouldn't have existed. And now playing it again was essentially just a refresher. And I literally did like a couple objectives, and I was like, I've done this once before, and I don't really have the drive to do it again because it doesn't really hold up.
Well, it's not like procedurally generated. There's no like regeneration to the map. It's the same. It's like going back to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. You're like, oh man, I loved that game. And then you play it and you've done it all already.
Yeah, you already conquered it.
And it's still like cool. But like, how many times?
Yeah, but the enthusiasm's gone. Like
Yeah, I just never had the enthusiasm in the first place outside of the joke of it, the meme of it.
one. I mean, I'm just using the expression. I didn't really have any enthusiasm in the first time either so much. It's just more so been there, done that, and it didn't change. And everything I thought about what my experience was going to be was exactly that. And I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I just don't have anything like necessarily positive either. So like you, I don't really know where I fall because I'm so in the middle on it,
I do. If this game was not in any way like a joke or satirical, it would be an awful game.
Sure.
Take the goat out. Don't call it Goat Simulator. Call it like fucking downtown asshole and fucking just the dude walking around fucking punching people and shit. I mean, some people would play it, but like it wouldn't have the charm of like, wow, Goat Simulator.
Right.
I'm a goat with a tongue that can ram people, and they go whoa and they run away.
Yeah.
So,
and I didn't try any of the other modes. Some of them are locked behind paywall too, which because of DLCs.
I was not.
And I wasn't interested.
That's not happening. Yeah, I was playing. I was like, I'm fine.
So
Not to sound too negative about this already, but it actually kind of was an awakening when I was playing it. I like all of a sudden I had all these thoughts about the game as I was playing it, because I was like, I remember when this was like an event, like this was a thing that happened in gaming, and now I'm playing. I'm like, but that was the charm of the game, was that the fact that it existed. Now we're past that, and it's just like that event's over. So what does the game as a game offer? Not really a whole lot. It's an underdeveloped game on purpose.
well, and there's going to be a category of people who obviously are going to get their kicks off this still.
The people who missed that period in time.
And that's fine. Play what you want and enjoy it. I just
Nope.
no
Play what I want you to play. And enjoy it.
no excitement this time around for playing it. So that's pretty much what I got on it. So
I just imagine people fucking with backwards hats on skateboards holding them while playing this game going, yeah, go, yeah. The enthusiasm. No? Okay. Chris.
This is my first time playing this game.
Oh, shit.
I
Okay.
kind of I've kind of fallen into the same kind of feeling as you guys. It was just kind of there. It didn't. It's basically an achievement hunting game.
Like a
That's all
fly
it
on the
is.
wall. It's just right there.
It's sandbox achievement hunting. There's no real objective to anything in the game. It's just kind of run around and do weird shit and interact with stuff. And for some reason you get achievements for touching everything and jumping around everything, and it's just here's the achievements, here's your points, but they don't really amount to anything other than, oh, now you're like the tall goat, which is a fucking giraffe. Like, it's just existing to be zany and weird for the sake of being zany and weird, and not in any way that's like impactful. It's just kind of like, oh, look at me, tongue in cheek, I'm an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I was not impressed by it whatsoever. It did have that weird like Tony Hawk of like multiplying your scores for like doing different things within a certain amount of time with each other, but again, the points amount to nothing.
Yeah,
The whole game is
I
just
for a
non-existent.
split nanosecond, I had a brain quake. It just went in my head, and I was like, I'm enjoying slightly, that I'm accruing a score and I'm going to try and get it higher. But then, like, as I did it for a split second, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? This means nothing. I'm not getting shit for this that I care about. I could be fucking spending this time playing something else.
Mm-hmm.
I almost was upset with myself. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you playing this?
You were fulfilling your obligations.
Yeah. and
I've
answering a question in my mind, like, is this a game that I would play? Am I enjoying this? Which is never a question I want to be asking myself when I play anything. I'm like, am I enjoying this? Probably not. I'm playing fucking games I love. I'm not thinking that at all.
I've played those idle games before, those like flash games you just kind of like accrue and unlock everything. Like
Idle click games
those
are
are
crack.
fucking crack, dude.
like the upgrade, what is it? Upgrade Simulator or something like that. It's on Newgrounds or Steam or something like that.
Dude,
I can't remember what the
there's a
console
million
game.
of
One of the
them.
old school ones, Cookie Clicker, that shit I was fucking addicted to.
Fuck yeah. I've played the shit out of those games, and I knew that's what they were, and like they were honest about it. But like
I just
this
downloaded
just
a
feels
chicken
like
one.
it just
I
feels
won't touch
so
it
hollow.
anymore after Cookie Clicker, dude. I'm done. I can't. I put so much time into that. I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
That chicken game that I was looking at on Steam, it's an idle game.
Oh, that's what's wrong with it. Gotcha. This is to be continued from yesterday's episode. We were just talking about that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a janky mess of a sandbox achievement hunting nothing game.
And the thing is, it's janky on purpose. It's underdeveloped on
Yeah.
purpose. And that was the joke. But, like, the joke's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you listen to a comedian and then, like, 5 years later, you listen to the same jokes that they told. And you're like, I already know where this is going. I mean, it's whatever. Like, it's just more of an acknowledgement. So, anything else?
Not really. I honestly didn't expect this to go this long for this game. So
I also didn't expect everybody to be kind of on the same page because I came into this going like, man, I don't know if I have anything positive to say about it, but I'm not going to shit on either. Like I said, I'm just acknowledging that there was a period where this game came out and people went, ha, and that just ended. So let's jump into recommendations. If you like weird, quirky games and you never played this, check it out. If you like indie games, check this out. If you're a fan of the simulator games at all and you're just curious about kind of a parody of those, check this out. If you like games with multipliers and scores, check this out. If you like goats and you don't think there's enough goats in games, you should check this out. Yeah, and if you like developers taking risks and making games that you wouldn't expect from someone else, and you're not going to get this experience anywhere else, check this out. But I can't really give you like a genre of game that I would recommend this to you if you're looking for other games in the genre, because it's like I said, it's an event. This happened. This game happened, and so more so to the curious. If I was having a conversation with you and it seemed like you might have an interest in this for whatever obscure reasons, I would recommend it just to check it out. And be like, oh, you got to fucking play this. I'd be like, oh, did you ever play that? And if they're like, no, I'll be like, check it out. So, yeah, those are my recommendations. I would recommend it in certain situations, but.
if you're into Tony Hawk, if you're into physics, essentially, I guess sandboxes, but
Shit physics, but yeah.
but games where like
'Cause I love physics. It's
one
gonna
of
be
the
cool for
huge
me.
draws is physics or whatever. And then I think you kind of nailed it with like if you're just like super into indie games, this is definitely like, not something that would ever come out outside of the indie scene. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much all I have to add on to it. The only reason I wanted to bring up the Tony Hawk thing is because the whole score process is literally Tony Hawk. He like do tricks and stuff in the air and everything. So
Yeah. Chris, anything you want to add to that?
I think I only have two things to add.
That's two more than I thought.
If it's free, go for it. And I think this is a game younger kids would enjoy just for the weird factor of it.
I was young when I bought it, fucking like 30 years ago, and I bought this with real money.
you were 3.
Yeah. It's my birthday.
Yeah, I think younger kids like between like 6 and like 12 would get a kick out of this game.
You're insulting so many adults right now who are playing this and just having a blast.
I'm
God,
not
you
insulting
insensitive
anybody.
prick.
It's
They're
just,
like, yes, goat, do the goat thing, yes. And then you're like,
just from
3-year-olds would
personal
like this.
experience as a nanny, this is the game that the kids would enjoy. I know they would they would get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Old nanny Chris. Chris is the nanny of TLG. He takes care of everything around here.
Past your bedtime, boys.
Fucking tell me about it. I've been telling myself that for years.
I don't have a fucking bedtime.
Yeah, Keith in the Discord, link down below, had a little survey saying like, do you prefer morning or night? I'm like, they're the same. I'm up at night into morning. It's the same time.
Yeah.
It's midday that I'm like, what the fuck is this?
So what's it?
It's bright.
It was very social media-esque of him.
Yeah.
All social media Keith. Let's grade this fucker.
C.
C's for Chevy. C's also for Goat Simulator.
It's not bad. It's not good. It exists, and it is completely playable and does what it means to do.
When I said C's for Goat Simulator, I almost said Coat Simulator.
This is a different game.
There's a toast game out there too.
I am toast.
That's
Or I
a
am
hard
bread.
game.
I am
Yeah,
bread.
something like that, yeah.
And you try to get toasted and not be dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I never tried it. I probably
Very
should
hard
have.
game.
It's fucking hard.
Yeah. You give it a C?
Yeah.
You were saying something and I started just fucking...
I was just saying it's not good. It's not bad. It exists. It works fine. It does what it intends to do. It's a C. So
Chris.
C minus. It's just.
I'm just going to leave it there.
It's not very memorable, to be honest.
Rabbits. Just silent. I see the rabbits going... They're like, yeah, I agree. C minus. All right.
I don't know.
We're going on the downward spiral. I'm giving it a D+. The reason I'm giving D+ is not a punishment to it. I'm giving a D+ solely based off of the charm of the event of this game releasing is gone. What it is an underdeveloped game on purpose to be weird. The weirdness has worn off. And for me as a person, picking up a controller and playing a game without insulting it, I had a D+ experience. Anything else you guys want to say on this?
not really.
Sorry, Goat Simulator. No one hates you, but fucking no one has much to say about you. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Goat Simulator. Did you play it? Did you not play it? What do you think about it? Do you agree with me about the whole release of the game was more of the pull to the game than the game itself? Or do you still enjoy this game? Do you still have fun with it? If you do, absolutely no problem with that. Let me know what you like about it. And if you play the DLCs, let me know what you thought of those in the comments below as well. And what would you grade it? Let's jump into the next game, which was the Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection. I might have not said that name correctly, but everybody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. It is Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection, yeah. Which, if you didn't get... Did I not explain what Goat Simulator was? Normally go, if you didn't get a chance to play it, I don't think I did that.
I don't remember, but I think by this point they got the gist.
I was so unenthused by the game. I was just like, you guys know what it is. So yeah, we also played the Uncharted Collection, Nathan Drake Collection. If you didn't get a chance to play that, it is 1 through 3 of the Uncharted games that released on PS3, remastered with better graphics. 3 fucking full ass games. And in those, you essentially play, it's their third-person action games, narrative-driven story games, where you run around, you jump, you swing, you climb, you shoot a lot of people, you beat the fuck out of people. One interesting thing about Uncharted that I always thought was really neat, and it always comes up, and every time I read it, I'm like, that's really neat, is when you're getting shot at in the game, and it starts flashing red around you, indicating that in any other game you're dying. That's Nathan Drake's luck wearing out. So when you die in the game, that's the one bullet that killed you. So your guy's not impervious to damage. He's not getting hit by the bullets while you're running and stuff. But that wears out. The luck wears out, and then he dies. Because the game's supposed to be realistic.
right.
I always thought that was a really smart, cool idea. Because he's like a scoundrel type character anyway, so the idea of him like running and not getting hit and shit during a firefight's really neat. Anyway, yeah, it's a game. It's three fucking big games. Action adventure. games. We all played it. Let's start with Chris. What was your impressions? This is your first time playing Uncharted, right?
This is my first time.
Cool.
And for full transparency, I only played the first one,
Okay.
but I played it all the way through.
You beat
in
it?
one sitting. Yeah.
Cool.
I've heard a lot about this game, mostly from you, but from other people as well. And it is basically, to me, like a male Tomb Raider game.
That's what the
But
first one was, yeah.
it not in a bad way, because I remember playing the original Tomb Raider and I hated the controls, like the tanky controls. This controls very smoothly and seamlessly between all like the cutscenes and stuff like that. For me, it had just this really well oiled flow to it. I really enjoyed most of the game. There are sections of that I really despised, to be quite honest. The jet ski section was awful. I hated it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated it because I felt like I should have just been able to either A, control the jet ski, or B, control the gunner, but you had to control both. And you had to stop jet skiing to shoot people and then resume jet skiing. And it was just like this very like clunky section of the game for me. Felt like it could have been handled a little better, but it is an older game, so I'm going to give it a little leeway with that. Story-wise, it was very intriguing. You know, you're this treasure hunter who's supposedly related to Sir Francis Drake, and you're kind of like out there searching for treasure related to him. There are a few moments in it, story-wise, that felt a little cliche, like the the inclusion of Nazis.
Yeah.
I was like, of course there's Nazis. Why
That's-
wouldn't there be Nazis?
That's one thing that I always thought was really interesting, though. The comparisons to Tomb Raider are natural, especially when Uncharted first came out. One thing I really want to stress, too, is when Uncharted came out, it was just a Naughty Dog game. When Uncharted 2 came out, it defined what Uncharted is. But the big comparison to Tomb Raider I always think is really interesting because they're both third-person action-adventure games that have to do with exploration and finding treasure and a story, but gameplay-wise, they're not actually that similar outside of the new Tomb Raider games that take after Uncharted. In the old Tomb Raider games, you were doing backflips, side flips, you were locking onto people and shooting them while a bear charges at you, and you're flipping out of the way and shit and rolling. And the platforming was more like strategic in the sense that you were timing it out and leaping and trying to grab on. And yeah, so but you bring up the Nazi thing. This game is essentially the video game version of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
There's actually, I think when Uncharted 2 came out, when it originally first came out, or Uncharted 3, there's actually this whole thing of like Indiana Jones handing his hat over to Nathan Drake. So, yeah. And then also, of course, I'm going to be fucking 100% transparent. I'm a huge fan of Uncharted. So that I'm clarifying things. I just want to put some ideas out there. Also, the first Uncharted, like I said, it was very blockbustery. And like when you say cliche, I agree 100%. The story gets so much better, though, after the first one. But the first one's like classic. I love it to death, but it's probably the weakest of the four.
It's not cliche in a bad way either. It's charming, even though the cliches are there.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't like story-wise, and I was very intrigued by the story. I wanted to see where it goes and where it led to, and you know, spoilers, whatever. But this game's out forever, so you know,
For sure, yeah.
too bad. The monsters that appeared at the end of the game, it was just like you had a really good game going with just, you know, people interacting with people story-wise, and it was intriguing. And then this monster fucking entity, third party, shows up. And I'm like, okay, of fucking course. Why do you got Nazis, so there's got to be fucking monsters, zombie mutated monsters. And I was just slightly disappointed by that.
Is that the one with the Yetis, or what are the monsters in that one?
No, they're like the
pale zombie,
yeah,
walk on all four things.
Huh. Man, I haven't played that. I haven't beaten that one in a while. I just remember the fucking Yetis running at you. I think that's the second one.
Yeah, no, they don't show up until you get to like the near the very end of the
Yeah.
game, and it's just like this extra threat element added to it because they're they're killing you, they're killing the Nazis or whatever the enemies. I just thought it was a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. That's like a really early PS3 game. What'd you think of the graphics with the remaster?
Knowing that it was an older game, I didn't really notice too harshly that the graphics were like terrible. I mean, they looked a little cartoony, but
Yeah.
I gave it kind of some leeway in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. Chevy.
So I played most of the first one and the beginning of the second game. I did not beat the first one because of the part Chris mentioned where you start having to run into monsters. I decided I didn't want to play anymore. So, for very Chevy reasons. But yeah, so first thing I want to say is revisiting this because I own this. Is the first game, for being an old PS3 game, they did a really good job of like cleaning up, and that game plays super smooth. It's very impressive, like how smoothly the game plays, and there's almost no weird, like, I'm gonna call it early Assassin's Creed moments where like you jump and you like lock onto things in weird ways. You still kind of do, but it's a lot smoother in this game. Only every once in a while would I like shuffle over and like home into something, and most time it seemed very natural. So for a game that old, really cool. I love the voice acting in the game from every character, including the disposable enemies, is good. I really appreciate that because those characters can have real shit voices. They don't matter. They're there for 5 seconds. I never felt like they used throwaway voices. So that was very cool.
No, it's really well acted, and all the characters are like, even some of the throwaway ones are all like, especially in the first one when you run into I forgot his name. In the very beginning of the game, you're talking to him.
Dude with like the golden pistols or whatever.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
I forgot his name too. I didn't play that one this month. But
I just played it. I can't remember.
there's like a history there you can kind of feel in the way that Nathan Drake and fucking him talk, and it's interesting. There's like this lore. That's one reason I would really suggest playing 2 and 3 is they actually go back in time and tell more story about him like as a kid and stuff, and it's really fucking.
It was really interesting too, beginning the second game and
how
meeting
him and Sully met and shit.
Yeah. I remember watching you play. I think it was the third game a little bit where they do specifically. I think it's the kid on the rooftops and stuff.
It's really neat.
But yeah, even the beginning of the second game where you run into those 2 characters right off the bat, whose names I can't remember because I don't remember people's names in real life either. So whatever. They felt like they had history, even though you were just being introduced to them. So the direction that is given in these games, when these characters are talking to each other, where you're being told they're familiar with each other, they also feel like they're familiar with each other. So you can tell they care, and it's Naughty Dog. We should know this by now, especially when you look at something like The Last of Us. But you can kind of see like the beginnings of that in Uncharted 1. It, for a game that was unproven, had a lot of like development in it. And props to Sony for
Especially
spending
with
the
Naughty
money.
Dog's background
So,
before that. Didn't they do Jack and Daxter?
yeah.
And then before that, Crash Bandicoot and stuff. So
Yeah, so Sony wrote this check for them to make this game, and honestly, I'm really surprised at what they made, even though it is a little bit Tomb Raider, a little bit Indiana Jones, whatever, and a little bit kind of generic in the first game. It set this base on what type of game play wise and like the character of Nathan Drake, that when we go into 2, the little bit I got to play of that, Nathan Drake felt way more natural as a character, especially interacting with these 2 people that he had history with, his mannerisms and their mannerisms with each other. All of a sudden, these games went from having like what was already like good to really impressive voice acting and actual acting. mocap, etc. The beginning of 2 is way more interesting than the beginning of the first game.
The jump from 1 to 2 is a gigantic leap and hugely ambitious.
It's crazy. The whole like waking up in the train,
Yep.
and you're just sitting there, and you can't tell the perspective is off until shit starts going bad, and you're like, "Holy shit! I'm like hanging off a fucking cliff right now."
Neil Druckmann worked on that one.
Yeah, well, the guy made Last of Us as well, so
Also,
his vision is very good.
yeah, and that's where they start getting a little more gritty. Although they never let go of like that fun adventure charm of this idea of like a world of thieves, the underbelly of people who are looking for all this fortune in illegal means. Like they're the heroes of the story, but they're willing to do crazy shit.
I'll say they're not good guys.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But they're better than the other guys
for sure.
But also, kind of a spoiler, but later in the second game, you get to play the part where that train crashes. And at the time, it was nowadays it wouldn't be as impressive, but back then they actually created this whole huge long level that the train had to travel through, just so it was realistic that while you're fighting through the train or whatever, you were actually traveling somewhere. A lot of the games later just had these whole areas where you're driving through these fucking open areas, these huge long maps, essentially, just to tell this story in a cinematic way. And it's just, even though these games are older, and I say this all the time, fucking Naughty Dog is like, for me, the pinnacle of AAA, because they always have high-end graphics for the time, the best mocapping, the best voice acting, stories that are written outside of the very first Uncharted, even though there's still some charm to that game, just really smart, well-written stories.
Very movie-like too.
Yes. And there's just no part of a Naughty Dog game that's underdeveloped or that they didn't care about that much. It's all meticulously handcrafted and just painstakingly fucking created. Even the first Uncharted, when it first came out, when I first played that, and back when that game first came out, people were like, "It's Tomb Raider, it's Tomb Raider, it's Tomb Raider. There's already Tomb Raider." And I'm like, "Yeah, Tomb Raider sucked for years. What are you talking about? Like, who gives a fuck?" Not that I'm saying anything bad about the comparison. I'm just saying, like, that used to be a reason people say, "I'm not going to play it. It's Tomb Raider." Like, there's this weird like team thing to it. Like, I play Tomb Raider back on PlayStation. I'm not playing this game on PS3. Yeah, it's I don't know. Not to go on too much of a thing, but it's just been interesting to watch Naughty Dog's evolution, and just constantly always keeping at the very forefront of where game development is, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I noticed like right off the bat too is like the way Nathan Drake looks versus like the moment I started, I was like, ooh, they really upped like the detail on making like a human and the way they look. Plus everyone aging as you go through the games too is super impressive. Like,
oh yeah, and 4, which isn't part of this collection, but it's weird because you feel like these are characters you're invested in, same as any great movies or books.
well, and people don't do like epics like in that regard. Like most games, all events happen in a bubble, no matter how long the game is. And in Uncharted, you're literally participating in events in Nathan Drake's life.
Yeah, and then going back in his life, and like there's a chronicle happening, and that's one of my favorite things ever in storytelling is if you get to experience someone's life and journey, because it makes you really invest emotions in those characters, which I have. I've beaten all these games,
and it's gonna be a weird comparison, but like that game we played that was based in Seattle, where you go through the house and learn about the family's misfortune.
Fucking
What
What
Remains
Remains
of
of
Edith
Edith Finch.
Yeah, I mean it's a very similar idea. Like you're experiencing life of people essentially. So
Yeah, that's the art and craft of that fucking game, though. Is it's a shorter game,
yeah,
and you get so much story. That's master storytelling. I really love that game.
but yeah. So overall, and I didn't get very far in the second game because I ran out of time, and unfortunately waited to the last minute to play it. So, but a little bit I played, every aspect of the game improved.
They
And
all just do
I've
that.
watched you play in the past a lot of 2 and 3 as well. So I just know where it goes, and I've seen you play a little bit of 4. So I have probably zero negative things to say about the game. I do have nitpicks, like personally, when it comes to like gameplay stuff. Like I don't necessarily enjoy puzzles in games, and there are some aspects where it is very puzzly, but the game is very good about if you take too long, it's like, hey, psst, hint, hint.
Yeah,
So,
and later in the games, the characters actually start like having conversations that tell you, which I think is really kind of ingenious. But also, the spectacle of the puzzles get just grander. I'm not a big puzzle guy either, but later on, you start doing these puzzles, and at first, I don't like puzzles that much at all, like just because it ruins the flow for me. But because they put so much work into the discussion and the whole adventure of the puzzles that's happening in a cinematic way, like you're watching a movie, it's way more engrossing than any other game I've played really that has puzzles. I know there's people out there who love puzzle games, and that's to each their own. But when I'm playing a game like this and it wants me to stop and go figure this room out, I'm like, I don't want to. But like I said, because the storytelling and the narrative and the dialogue, it feels natural.
yeah, well, unfortunately, like I didn't feel like I was being stopped too often. It just, they would happen. I'm like, okay, I gotta get through this. It like you said, it kind of like took me out for a second because I was like, okay, puzzle time.
Which that shit takes me back to the Tomb Raider comparison, because that was a big part of Tomb Raider, was
Big part to Tomb Raider. Yeah,
big
for sure.
puzzle rooms. Because puzzles were huge on PlayStation. Look at Resident Evil. Look at fucking a bunch of games.
Also, I don't like platforming like at all, and because of the way platforming works in this game, they did a really good job of making me just like not get frustrated by it. So I appreciate that because I'm not a fan of platforming
It gets so buttery smooth too in fucking 4, which again, this is just talking about it as Uncharted, the series, but like, and Lost Legacy, but like the running, this fucking using the goddamn rope to swing around and shit, and flying down and punching people while leaping around grabbing ledges and stuff. It's so fucking just like kinetic. It just feels so good just connecting all these fucking movements.
well, yeah, and then even in like 2, like I didn't feel like I was platforming, which means a lot for me. So
Yeah.
I've been rambling for a while though, and I would like you obviously to be able to talk because between that and our time limit, I'm gonna shut up. So
Did Chris not give his? He gave his impression.
he gave his, yeah. He went
Oh,
first.
you're pointing at him when you said that. I thought you were
Oh,
talking
the
to
clock.
him. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already been talking a little bit about this, but I'm just gonna say I love these games. Coming back to it this month, I put time into. I visited a little bit of each one just to kind of look at them graphically. I've played them plenty of times, so there's not really a necessity for me to beat these games right now. But I played more of 3 out of the other 2 just because I've beaten 3 the least amount of times. In my opinion, 3 is a great, awesome sequel to 2. It's not as good as 2. 2 is the best Uncharted in my opinion. 4 is the second best, easily. But 3 is really fun. 3 kind of expands the lore, expands the characters, expands just more on that, like I said, gritty underworld of like thieves, which is really neat. It definitely serves its purpose. It's a really fun game. But you know, for storyline wise, 2 has the better story, the better impact. And then yeah, like I've kind of said like already a little bit, the first one was their first foray into this. It came out early on PS3. And it knew what it wanted to be, but where the series goes is so much more just defined. It has this confidence with Uncharted 2 and on that just is fucking fantastic. And the first game just is the kind of the blueprint, the early vision of where this series would go and what it would become. Like I said, Uncharted 4 is such an ambitious fucking great game. But yeah, graphically, you know, I'm talking about this is the remastered. Like you, I bought this when it came out as well. It came out around the same time that like Uncharted 4 came out, so I bought both of them. And it looks great. These games have always looked good. You know, Uncharted does look like it's an older game. Specifically in the animations, and it's not because the animations are bad; they're not as good as the newer Naughty Dog games.
For sure.
So when you go back to the original, and the way he's standing, you go to turn, and he's kind of a little more stiff, and when you run and jump, he grabs and then pops up real fast, stuff like that.
And level design.
And level design, a little more basic and stuff. And then you go to the newer ones, and like I said, with every Naughty Dog game, man, like everything about it just gets better. So it's just like taking a picture, it's kind of blurry, and just sharpening it. Every single fucking game is just getting better in every way. And so when you go back to the first Uncharted, I still really just appreciate it. But it is interesting to look at almost how more like their old platformers it is, with guns and better narrative and storytelling. But it's still like you're running around, jumping on platforms and doing stuff, and it just really evolves as you play those games, go further into them. So, but yeah, I still think the first one with the remaster, upgraded graphics, looks decent. But 3 looks great, 2 looks great.
3 was at the end of the life, though, wasn't it?
For PS3.
Yeah.
As at the very end of the cycle. In fact, 3 looks worse than 2. Because 3 came out when 3D TVs were still trying to be a thing. So they made that game 3D accessible. So the game's rendering 2 versions of the game at once.
Right.
And so they had to lower like textures and stuff. Because I remember when 3 came out, I was looking at it, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, man, it doesn't look better graphically than 2. I was hoping it'd be like a huge jump. It's because they were experimenting with 3D TVs. That obviously didn't take off.
How very Sony.
It's always very interesting to kind of look at those times where someone tried something, it didn't work. But it still looks great. It doesn't have that jump in graphics. And when you look at the textures and stuff, they're a little more muddy compared to 2. 2 is just a really sharp ass looking game. But that, like I said, that game was just so fucking ambitious. They looked at what they did with the first one and they went, we're going all out on this fucking game. We're making this game legitimate. And that's when I'm like giving the history of Uncharted.
Going to Shambhala.
But I remember when the second one came out, like the advertisements were everywhere talking about like this game is a fucking movie. Like you can play this game and you're gonna have a blast. And if anyone's sitting around with you, like your girlfriend or fucking friends, they're not gonna be bored. They're gonna be watching this shit, going like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" And it's true. Those games are easy to watch.
Yeah.
Just like not Uncharted. It is just like Uncharted. Just like Last of Us. I can play Last of Us, and anyone in the room is gonna sit there and watch it. Because they're just made to be these experiences.
I was going through a puzzle in Uncharted 1, and Trishelle like stopped and was just like watching for a little bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're spectacles. They're spectacles, but I'm not. Some people get kind of upset with the idea of like cinematic games, but I love it as long as the gameplay's there. And these games, the gameplay's there. I'm gonna go too long though, because I think you guys already get where I'm coming from. I really do love these games. I really do love returning to them. These games can be remastered and still look very close to what you'd expect from early PS4. Last of Us looks great on PS4 as well. So I mean, like it just shows the quality of at the time when they made them, they were the top of their game to the point where now they still look decent, which is always really impressive. There's all those old legacy games that were like the best at the time. We were just talking about this recently, but like we're so far past it now, but like Doom 3 when it came out was like so ahead in graphics that it took like years for it to finally start looking old.
yeah.
Now you look at it, and you can still just tell it meant something at one point graphically. They put so much work into it, but now you're like, everything looks way better than that. But same thing with Uncharted. All the games, like fucking, they were like so well made at the time, and it still just translates now. And yeah, I really liked them, and or still like them. And yeah, playing 3 was fun. It was cool to kind of catch up with characters I really like. So, which is awesome because I don't really identify with characters often. And well, I don't identify with these characters, but I care about these characters. A lot of games I play them, and I'm like, oh, that was a cool story. Or I'm like, oh, those are some cool characters. But like, you know, it takes like a Metal Gear Solid series or fucking a Last of Us, Naughty Dog, Uncharted, and other series for me to actually go like, I actually care what happens to these characters, and I care what happens in the next game. And when the sequel comes out, I can't wait to see what happens. And yeah, these games have that for me for sure. So that was the biggest exciting factor for me when I returned to 3 is I was like, oh yeah, I fucking love these characters and the charm to them and the story and stuff. So yeah, I enjoyed my time with the game. Let's jump into recommendations. I'm gonna start with Chris.
Always Chris.
I said that like he was in trouble, and he looked like he was in trouble. Oh God, I gotta do it.
I think if you like kind of like third person adventure games, this is really good for you. If you like deep storytelling, well, yeah, deep and intriguing storytelling. If you like Indiana Jones, I think you'd really like this.
So everybody.
Yeah. It's really hard not to like make this a broader like everybody should play this game, but I do think everybody should at least give this a go once. I mean, if you're only playing sports games, then this is not something you're gonna enjoy. But if you play like
shooting a lot
any
of people
kind
is a sport to you, then you might like this game. Because Nathan Drake fucking murders people.
Without thinking about it.
He's a motherfucker, dude. He'll kill you. Like, he seems like a cool, charming guy, but as soon as there's like just waves of dudes coming in, you're just fucking boom, 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 boom.
You know,
those guys ain't coming back.
If you like platforming games that feel really smooth and at the same time feel like you are carving your own path while platforming, I think you'd really enjoy this.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Chevy.
I mean, individually, these are games you buy consoles for.
Yeah.
And now you get 3 of them. So, I mean, if you're a console player in general, like, this is kind of a must own, I think. Specifically, if you're a PlayStation fan, this is kind of like a very PlayStation game. Like,
it's a defining game of PlayStation 100%.
So, I think it's really hard to not recommend this. So, or to recommend this, I should say. So, I'm going to not recommend it. If you are turned off by games being cinematic, and I have met these people. You can't play this.
I hear from all time.
Yeah. It is very much an interactive experience of a game, and you're gonna get annoyed because it's going to be constantly stopping and telling a story, and then telling a story while you're doing things, and then transitioning into a like story again. Like, I don't know. It's not for you. So if you are, as Chris kind of mentioned, but if you purely play like just like competitive games, probably not your thing either. This is very much a single player experience, though later on they did add multiplayer modes. It is not the like key shining feature of these titles.
It's fun though.
Sure. And I've watched you play both Uncharted and Last of Us online. It looks fun, and there are people who still play them, but you're not buying this game for that.
There are some fucking high-level motherfuckers in Last of Us who are just wrecking me. I'm like, this shit is gritty.
And then, my biggest recommendation would be if you like cinematic experiences to flip-flop it. This is one of those games. So
it's a spectacle for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. I would recommend this to everybody, but not everybody's gonna love it. Specifically, people who, if there's a lot of cutscenes in a game, they'll refer to it as it's a movie, not a game, even though they never think about the gameplay aspects between the cinematics. If that gameplay's fun, it's enjoyable to me. Although there are some games out there that have way too long of fucking cinematics and not enough gameplay, but most time for me, not a big issue. So yeah, if you're one of those people who just does not like long cinematics or anything that you perceive as like a movie as a game, you will have that issue with this game. Not as much as other games like a Kojima game, but it's there. Also, if you're someone like me, but somehow this game just bypasses it because you love it so much, this game has something I call kill boxes, where you go into a room and people start flooding in and you have to shoot them for a while you're trying to figure something out. And sometimes it's endless, specifically in the earlier Uncharted games, early game design compared to the newer ones. It can be frustrating, and if you're not into that kind of thing, this game, the earlier ones have that for sure, where you're just killing endless dudes while you got to figure out the fucking the puzzle of the room or whatever the fuck. And any other game, I typically hate that, and I hate it in this, but I look past it because I'm so biased towards this game, these games. So it's one of the only games that gets a pass for me on that, because that shit drives me fucking insane, and it drives me insane in these games too. But I like the gameplay, I like the combat. But if you're not into either of those two things, you may have an issue with this. But these games are definitely designed to get the widest audience to play them possible, with how well they're made. So I would recommend them to everybody. Specifically, like you said, if you're a PlayStation person, I don't like to play the console war game too much, but if you're a PlayStation person, you probably already fucking play these games. You probably love them. So And if you're on Xbox, you only play Xbox. You're looking at it, you're like, that's just fucking Tomb Raider and fucking Indiana Jones. It's bullshit. You should come over and try it out. Just play it for a second. You might like it.
Yeah.
Because you probably played Tomb Raider, the new ones, and they're just like Uncharted. Except for they kill the fuck out of that girl way too often and way too hardcore.
I see. Yeah, they beat the shit out of her.
At least in the first one. I didn't play 2 or 3. I think there's 3.
Also, her hair breaks certain computers. So.
It did.
Yeah.
My computer will kick the fuck out of that hair. Get your fucking hair out of here. Let's grade it. Who graded first last time? I think I did. No, Chevy did. He jumped in with the C.
I did.
We'll go with Chris.
Oh no.
Set the tone.
You have to start everything on this game.
I mean, he did start.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna preface this with a grain of salt because I only played the first game, and I know that it is a epic, and then the full games need to be played, especially since they were all offered to us. That being said, I really had a great time playing this game. There were a few moments that were very frustrating for me, gameplay wise, personally, but it has the potential there to be extremely enjoyable. All that being said, I'm just gonna give it a B plus.
That's high as fuck. That's good.
There are, like I said, there are some janky moments in it that for me were really frustrating. But it could have just been me because I don't really typically play these kind of games. So it just could have been my noob ass not used to this style of game.
Well, you also played the first game, which is the earliest game, which has the
right
earliest game design
I
of
say it's
it.
the most bare bones of the 3. So.
I mean, your grade of that
Right.
collection is essentially your grade of the first Uncharted.
right,
So,
which is why I want to preface it with a grain of salt. It's
Yeah.
not really a fair grade to just grade it based off the only one of the games that were offered.
Here's
but
your
it's
grade
I
for the
would say,
month.
for anyone new to this channel, our grades go into our impressions of that game. They can change later. We could revisit a game later and maybe grade it differently. And it's incumbent upon us to let you guys know what we did in the game, so you can listen to our opinion and go, I get where they're coming from, or I don't think that's really fair for you to grade that. I'm not going to take it serious, and that's fine because that's the point of the conversation. Like, we're just being honest and open about what we did in the game and what we graded that experience. So this isn't a finalized review.
This is a final answer for $1 million. B
Yeah,
plus.
hook it up. Patreon, link down below. Throw that $1 million in there. I swear I'll go right back into the channel. This channel's gonna look real good.
At that point, you'd be like, I'm building a studio.
Yeah, I'm building a house with a studio in it. And cars to get to that studio. So B plus.
Yep.
Very fair. Good grade. In fact, I'm really happy to hear that because the first Uncharted's like the least best one. B plus is very fair. So
Least is bestest.
yeah.
It does make me want to play the other ones.
If you have free time, you should try.
I was about to fucking just jump in there. I got scared. Chris started talking. I was like, oh shit, he's still going. Yeah, definitely play the other ones. Play 2 at least. I mean, that one's going to change your perspective on the series because that's the one that I would say is the defining game of the series. It's so much better than the first one. The first one's just fun. It's a fun adventure with Nazis and fucking werewolves or what the fuck you guys are talking about. I don't know.
Ghouls.
Ghouls is probably better than Zombie. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were ghouls. Yeah. All right, I'm jumping in. I'm going to give this as a collection an A+. Easy A+ for me. I love all 3 of these games. I would grade them individually at different grades. But as a collection, as getting all 3 of these games in one thing, and how they translate to now, the amount of story you're getting, the amount of gameplay you're getting, the amount of enjoyment I got out of them, A+, easy for me. Like I said, if I was grading them individually, I'd probably give them more nuanced grades. But just as a collection, it's such a good collection. It's such a celebration of, I would say, modern PlayStation, and kind of the precursor to where we are now in PlayStation when it comes to exclusives. It's just an awesome package, and I love it. So A+.
We're totally not related or haven't lived together for a long period of time. I was literally going to start mine by saying you could grade all these individually. and you got all three. So yeah, it'd be obviously a different circumstance if we brought it down to each individual title. But as a collection, I'm going to give it an A. It is way too much bang for your buck. Like, it's insane. And just even outside of the financial aspect of it, the amount of just entertainment you can get out of it, and time and quality, and it's a must own thing for PlayStation owners. So like, unless like I played further into one of them, it's something I just hated, which I don't see happening.
That's not going to happen.
I can't. Like, the only reason I don't give it an A plus is because I haven't played all three of them, and I just by all right can't do that. So it's an A.
I got the bias, so I mean, like, I already beat them all. I love them all. Coming back, I'm like, oh, I love these.
In fact, this is nice.
So A plus,
B plus.
B plus. Bonus round, I'm gonna give Uncharted a B. I'm gonna give Uncharted 2 an A plus. And I'm gonna give Uncharted 3 an A minus.
I can't do all three, and I can't fairly do 2, but I would give Uncharted 1 probably B minus, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's good, but it is feeling a little dated, and the monster thing is weird for me as well. I thought that
there's monsters in 2 as well. But they're like abominable snowmen Yeti dudes, so you're up in the fucking mountains.
It feels more grounded than like pasty.
They get real grounded later because they kind of drop the whole monster thing in general and make you trip out. And you see weird shit, but it's explained by the drugs, so. Otherwise, I don't know if like it's fucking Scooby-Doo and all these ghouls are fucking people in suits. I don't remember. I got to replay the first one, but.
Yeah, and then I would say probably from my very limited experience with 2, an A minus, just because the stealth part I hated.
That is the worst part of the Uncharted games, is the stealth aspects. This is something that when I talk about stealthing games, I love a game that does stealth well. It's rare. Some games are getting better about it nowadays, but games that are not a stealth game that have stealth in them, I'm always very wary of it. Uncharted included, because the engine was not developed for a stealth game. So a lot of times it comes down to basic principles of where the guy's looking, there's a cone, very much like the original Metal Gear Solid. And then if you stand in the shadows, you're less visible. And if you stand out of the shadows, you get seen instantly. And so it becomes this thing where you have to stand in the dark, wait for the guy to walk by, run to the next dark, wait for the guy to walk by, and then run to the next part that's dark. And it's just this waiting game. And it doesn't feel intuitive. So yeah, in the second game, I believe there's a heist that happens
right in the beginning.
And it's the worst part of the whole fucking game. It's the worst part.
I would say it felt very different from the rest of the game, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not gonna.
But I still gave it an A minus. So.
Yeah. Well, I gave that game a fucking A plus. But I'm coming from the perspective of loving all the characters and stuff. So even the first Uncharted, I'm like, it is not as good as the other ones, but I love it still.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say on Uncharted?
This was a get.
Or the other game
for if you had PlayStation Plus, there's a huge get.
This is a goat. That's what I said when I played the first game that we talked about.
Also, next month is also a get, and I'm not even excited for it.
Yeah, PlayStation's coming in fucking hard. They're swinging.
So
like, you motherfuckers thought December sucks. Fucking take this shit, and then fucking February gonna get this shit. Wait till you see what happens next fucking month. That month of Cyberpunk. Guess what we're gonna?
I'm gonna need you to not do anything cool in April though, because I'm gonna be busy.
Also, never swing like this. These are awful fucking punches. I'm not trying to teach anyone how to fight, but because I have equipment in front of me, I have to punch kind of up and over. I was just kind of.
You're also kind of like in Adidas right now, so you know.
Yeah, I'm working out. I was just looking at my form as I was doing. I'm like, that's awful, kids. Never. If you're gonna go beat the fucking bully up, don't swing at him like this. He's gonna kill you.
You might make him laugh. Maybe he won't want to fight anymore.
Fucking connect that shit. Yeah, he's gotta go.
Or just angry because you're bad at it.
If someone got angry at me because I was bad at punching while I was trying to punch them, I'd fucking be pissed.
So usually if you do something surprising and awful enough, people get turned off by it. It's like you see those videos of people just ripping their pants off real fast. People
dude, no.
nope.
Yeah, if you're about to get in a fight, dude, get naked or make them naked. And it'll end quick because people are instantly, they go from fucking, I'm angry, I got that angry boner, I need to kill somebody, to holy shit, I'm embarrassed, I didn't think this was going to happen. People are seeing my ass and my balls. I did not want this. I wanted to kill somebody.
Or they're presenting themselves to me. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that video of the dude. He's trying to box this guy, and he's naked, and he keeps walking with his fists up, and the guy's backing up like, "What the fuck, dude?" And then he goes to swing at the naked guy, and he hits his friend, the naked guy's friend, who's also trying to get in the fight. He goes boom and knocks that guy out, and the naked guy comes fucking walking at him like I'm like. And the video starts there. I'm like, what the fuck happened before
What
this?
led up to this?
Where
man?
did all of his clothes go? There's layers.
This is
Who undressed him?
this isn't Plus Club anymore.
Let us know in the comments what you think of Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Which is your favorite Uncharted game? 4 included, but within this collection, best one, probably 2. If you don't like them, let me know why you don't like them. I promise my bias will not get in the way and go, you don't understand it. Yeah, just let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Uncharted, Goat Simulator, grade them. And that's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Tasty Loot Gaming. Check out our streams, links down below. You can find us wherever the fuck we're at. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us, we got a Discord too. You can talk to us all the fucking time. Link down below. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
And until the next episode, which might be Taste Tuesday, but I keep also just like making random videos all week for some reason. So
You're gonna get something soon.
something's happening. I guarantee something's
Eventually.
fucking happening soon. Until then, have a good night. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy, guys. That's a threat. I'm coming for you.